Hi guys, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm making fried mushroom marinara. Alright guys, I'm starting out by making my sauce first. You could use jarred marinara if you want to take a shortcut, but it's always better with homemade. I have a pound of ground beef here I browned up and I drained off the excess grease. Now I'm going to take a medium onion I diced fine, and we're going to get in there and fry that in with the beef for a few minutes just so it starts to soften up a little bit. Okay, now that I allow my onions to fry in with the ground beef for a few minutes, then they're starting to soften, we're going to put the sauce together. I'm going to start out with a can of crushed tomatoes. This here is a 28-ounce can. I turn my heat down on low because if it gets too hot too fast, I'm going to get a nice spaghetti sauce facial, and I don't need that, guys. I'm going to add in a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. And guys, if you try this sauce recipe, it's really simple but very delicious. Now I'm going to add a little water in there. I'm going to add about a half a can, a little less than a half a can of water. Throw them in the trash. I'm going to give this a stir. And I like to keep my seasonings as simple as possible. Alright, now to my sauce, I'm going to add in some garlic. And I use a jar garlic, guys, it's much easier. I'm going to add in about 2 teaspoons. You add as much as you like. I'm going to give that a stir. And I should have held on to my spoon because I need to taste my sauce. I'm going to add in some salts. Let me grab another spoon. And you want to taste as you go with your seasonings and make sure you get it to your liking. I'm going to start with a teaspoon of salt. Stir that in. Okay, let me give that a taste to see if we're good on salt. We're good on salt. Okay, now I'm going to add in my sugar. This here is a quarter cup. I'm going to add about a quarter of that in there. You can always add more, but when you add too much and you can't take away, so you want to do this a little bit at a time. And the neighbors have 2 beagles out there and they bark constantly, guys. 2 beagles. Give that a taste. A little more sugar. As this cooks, the acidity will cook down in the tomatoes and that will sweeten up a little bit naturally, so we don't want to overdo it with sugar. That's tasting good right there. Now I'm going to add in a little bit of granulated garlic. Probably about a half a teaspoon. About a half a teaspoon of onion powder. And even though I have fresh garlic in there, I still like to granulate it because I like the flavor that gives it. Now I'm going to add about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning in there. Give that a little rub to help wake it up. And about a teaspoon of oregano. Give that a little rub. Stir that in there. And like I said, guys, if this seems too complicated for you, which it's really not, you could always get a jar of pasta sauce or marinara, whatever you like. But like I said, once you taste homemade, unless you're in a really time crunch, you're not going to go back to the jar stuff. And that's tasting good right there. I'm going to allow this to simmer for a few minutes so the flavors can develop and come together. Alright, all my sauce simmers way over there. We're going to bread our mushrooms. Now I have a pound of white mushrooms. I wiped them down with a dry paper towel because they still had a little bit of dirt on them. You don't want to get them wet. You want to just wipe them down with a dry towel. Now I'm going to start by putting my mushrooms in a Ziploc bag with some flour. It's going to help the eggs stick to them. You just want to coat them good with your flour. Then I'm going to dip them in the egg. You see how good that flour stuck to them? And we're just going to move them around in there and coat them in egg. And that's my oven coming up to temperature because it's going to go in the oven then. Okay, now I'm going to take my mushrooms and I'm going to put them in some Italian seasoned breadcrumb. And you want to try to knock off the excess egg off of your mushrooms. go ahead and coat them up good with the Italian seasoning. Now I have a deep fryer over here with some vegetable oil. It's nice and hot. I'm going to get all my mushrooms in there, get them deep fried, and then we're going to set them aside to cool on a plate. Alright, now that my mushrooms are all deep fried and looking beautiful, I'll show you them in a minute. We're moving back to my sauce. I have a pound of spaghetti that I printed the directions on the back of the box, which I like mine on the tender side. Some people like yours al dente, so I want it a little longer. And I'm just going to stir my spaghetti in here. Put my lid over here. Just want to mix it around good in that sauce. And I broke my spaghetti in half before I boiled it, because that way there it'll be easier for serving. And just mix that sauce in there good. Alright, now that I have my sauce mixed in there pretty good. This part here is optional just because I have it to use. I have some shaved Parmesan cheese. I'm going to lay some of that on top of the spaghetti. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. Yes, Dexter?
What?
Dexter's in a good mood today because we're not having chicken. Right, Dexter? Right, that's good. Here's these mushrooms, guys. Look at how beautiful they are. We just want to nestle them down on top of our pasta and sauce. And guys, these took about 3 or 4 minutes to fry, but I had to keep going in and stirring them because they'd want to spin around in there. And you just want to randomly place them here. And I left them cool on a plate with paper towel. Alright. I'm going to take some Italian blended cheese, shredded cheese. You could also use mozzarella for this. And I'm just going to cover those mushrooms with that cheese. Now I'm going to put this in a 350-degree oven for about 10 minutes. Just so that cheese melts and our mushrooms warm back up because they got cool while they were waiting on a plate. Alright guys, just came out of the oven. I left it sit for about 5 minutes to set up some. Let's go ahead and fix up a plate and see what we got. Alright guys, let me get in here and try this. Now this is also a great recipe if you want to make some breaded mushrooms. You see the way I made them with the flour, the egg, and the Italian breadcrumb. I'm going to start out by trying this spaghetti in the sauce I made. It's really delicious. And guys, that sauce, I'll tell you, try it. You're going to like it. A little bit of this mushroom. Now for Eric's portion, I'm going to have to serve it without the mushroom. We all know he doesn't like that. These mushrooms are really good. That breading gives them a good flavor, and they have that nice tender mushroom flavor. There you have it, guys. Fried mushroom marinara. Give it a try. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see ya.